Good evening, everyone. Julie here, and welcome to my channel. To those of you who are new to my channel, I do a lot of videos. I do a Bible recap video. We're reading the Bible in a year. And I do a lot of other videos. But the most important videos that I do are on child advocacy. And today is March 31st, 2025, and tomorrow will be April 1st. April is Child Abuse Awareness Month. So I wanted to take a few minutes to go over some things with you. And yes, I have other videos on my channel that have more information. But this is just a start off. I'm hoping to share some more videos, get more facts in together for you. This, I believe, I can't remember, but I will put it in the description of where I got this information from. It came in an email today from one of the many emails that I get about child advocacy. I want to say it's the National Alliance or something. I can't remember, but I should have written it on here. But I want to go ahead and give you some facts that I pulled off, and this is not even all the facts. This is skimming some of them, going into detail on a few things, and not as much as there's so much there, folks, that I could do videos for hours long. But I'm gonna read these facts to you, and then I'm gonna give you a little bit of my experience. July will be my 12th year. That'll make my 12-year anniversary as a Guardian Ad Litem volunteer. In the state of Florida, Guardian Ad Litems are volunteers. We volunteer, we take training, and we volunteer to go into to visit children in their placements, whether it be foster care or family care. They may be placed with a grandparent or an aunt or an uncle, or they may be placed in a group home. But we visit the children there, we write reports for the judge, and we're their voice. So to say that the problem is so big, and as you'll hear in here, it's not just my state of Florida. It's not just the whole USA. It's the whole world, folks. The whole world. Children are suffering at the hands of people that they're supposed to be able to trust. So I'm going to go into this, and I'm going to give you the facts. It's going to take me just a little bit, and then I'll go over some stuff on my heart, and then we'll close out. I'm going to try not to make this too long, but I'll take as long as I need to. And I hope and pray that you'll read it or listen to it all the way through, and I hope that you will share it and help get information out. This whole month needs to be about people educating themselves, and I hope that you'll join me in doing that. People need to know. So let's get started. How big is the problem of child abuse? 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 13 boys in the U.S. are estimated to experience child sexual abuse. 1 billion children globally are estimated to experience sexual violence. More than 550,000 children in the U.S. are known to U.S. authorities to be abused. An estimated 558,899 children are victims of abuse and neglect in the U.S. in 2022. That's the most recent year for which there is data on the website that I looked at. That is 8 children out of every 1,000. Think about that. 8 children out of every 1,000. And these are the ones that we know about, okay? In 2024, children advocacy centers around the country served some 372,613 children experiencing allegations of abuse, providing victim advocacy and support to these children and their families. U.S. child welfare authorities look into the safety of more than 7.5 million kids annually. Let me repeat that. 7.5 million kids annually. Of those, around 3 million children received an investigation or alternative response from Child Protective Services agencies. Child abuse hurts minds, bodies, and futures. The trauma of child abuse causes children to lose their sense of safety and trust in the world, and harms their relationships. The trauma of child abuse can lead to mental health problems like depression, anxiety, and PTSD symptoms. Behavioral issues like substance use disorder, risky sexual behavior, or increased risk for violence against oneself and others. Physical health problems. So the problems that the children run into because of child abuse is massive. In 2022, an estimated 1,990 children died from abuse and neglect in the U.S. That's a lot of children dying from abuse and neglect, folks. And it's been continually rising over the past 5 years. Nearly half of all U.S. children experience at least one type of childhood trauma. And it carries a high economic price. Child abuse affects children from every background. The youngest children are the most vulnerable children in the first year of their life. Are 15% of all the victims are the little ones, the infants. And more than a quarter, 27% of child abuse victims are no more than 2 years old. Girls tend to be more vulnerable than boys, but not by much. Socially and medically marginalized children are especially vulnerable, 3.5 times higher than the average child. LGBTQ youth are also at a particular risk for sex trafficking, suicide, and other abuse-related problems. Most child victims are abused by a parent. 76% of them is the number that is victimized by a parent or a legal guardian. Child-on-child abuse is common. 16% of people alleged to have abused a child were children themselves. And that may be because they're left taking care of smaller children. So they're being the mom or the dad instead of the parent. And this causes, they're trying to get to discipline the children. Nationally, neglect is the most common form of abuse. 3/4 or 75% are neglected. 70% are physically abused. 11% are sexually abused, and 0.2% are sex trafficked. Child advocacy centers investigated 236,601 cases involving sexual abuse allegations in 2023, 55%. Not all cases resulted in charges or convictions. This indicates the problem may be bigger, way bigger. That's the facts that I got tonight. Now, how do I perceive that in my world as a child advocate? Well, the system's broken. I have seen so much in 12 years. Not just here. I have watched stories. I have I try to figure out in my mind how to make a difference. And the only thing I know to do is try to make videos now to make a difference, other than my role as a guardian ad litem volunteer. But I've been doing videos for the past couple of years trying to educate people. What I know, how do I learn more? I watch videos, and I don't just watch the educational videos. I watch the videos that come out and see the monsters. Because I have to wrap around my mind around this. Because I can see somebody that I think is an awesome parent. Because some of the videos I watch, you never think that person would harm their children. And what do they call them? A wolf in sheep's clothing? And then there are some that you look at them and say, yeah, I can see that. But I think one thing we do, and I had to catch myself on this. It's easy to be an advocate and judge somebody by what you read about them on a piece of paper. But you have to dig a little bit deeper than that piece of paper. Because I've had cases where I say, oh, how could they let that happen? How could I let that happen? We were at a child advocacy seminar and this girl gave her story. And I sat there thinking, if I would have just read her case, I'd have been, how horrible. How could you let this happen? How could you? I didn't know her story. The trauma that she experienced as a child. And this is where it gets so hard, people. It's this vicious cycle of abuse, because I've seen case after case where their parents were victims of child abuse and neglect themselves. They didn't know how to live a normal life. And some kids are so resilient and they're bound and determined that that's not going to happen to them. But then there are others that they can't help themselves. It's just the cycle and they don't know how to get out of it. How do we fix it, folks? Do you know that the majority of the cases that I've seen, me myself, are due to substance abuse and neglect? So we've got to help these parents. We've just got to. If we cannot help these parents, how are we going to help the children? And don't get me started on the people who have case after case after case. They'll have a child, that child will get taken away. Then they'll have another child, and that child will get taken away. And they'll have another child, and that child will get taken away. And I don't believe there's people that I know they love their children, they just can't take care of them. It's not that they don't love them, they don't have the skills necessary to take care of them, especially the ones that are medically needy. How do we fix this? How? Everything that's being done is not good enough. It's not good enough, because every time a child dies, that's not good enough. It's not good enough for me. It's not good enough for that child. That child deserved to live their life and to live their life to the fullest. How do we fix it, folks? We have to start using our voices. I've written governors, I've written congressmen, and whatever. And you know what? This is April. It's Child Abuse Awareness Month. So who can join me? Who can join me? Write your governor, write the president, write your congressmen and women. We have to start doing something about this. Because seeing a child tortured and die is not what anybody needs to see and hear. Their children are our most precious thing, and we have to rescue them. Do you know how many babies are shaken a year? I don't have a number for that. I'll look for you. I've had cases with shaken babies. TBI, which means that they have traumatic brain injury, never going to have a normal life. There's plenty of those cases all around. And a lot of times that's how children die. Just tiny, tiny babies that are just expecting to be loved. How could somebody do that to such a precious baby? How could somebody do that to children? How could anybody harm a child? Now, I got spankings when I was a kid and I deserved them, okay? And spanking to me, I mean, if you want to know that's bad because you want to teach them how not to touch a hot stove, you don't want them to harm themselves, you want them to learn, I don't consider that bad. But some people can't do that because some people can't control their anger. So where do we draw the line? That's what makes it so hard. You know, no, to me is not bad, but it can be bad. And that's what makes it so hard, because people should, you know, I don't have a problem in discipline. What I have a problem with is beating. And there's a big difference there. But how do we determine? Because some people just can't do it. Some people can't do this because this leads to something else. So it makes it hard because sometimes kids need this. No, you can't do that. It's hot. It'll burn you. But some people can't do that. So that makes it so hard. And that's what tears my heart up, y'all, is seeing children suffer. Having children say to you, will I die when I get shot? Because they've lived with gun violence in their life. Children being angry because they're taken away from their parents, because these children don't know. They don't know that that's not normal. They don't know that the life that they're living, the life of living in horror, is not normal. And you'll see a lot of cases now where these children are homeschooled. And I mean, I understand the schools are ugly. You got to chance your children seeing gun violence and stuff in schools. But COVID, everyone's like, oh, the numbers are great. They're great. Look, the numbers of child abuse is going down a little bit. That's not true, folks. Myth. You know why? Because teachers in schools report a lot of the child abuse. Sometimes they miss it. Sometimes they don't. It takes some extra people there. Sometimes a kid going to school is the only decent meal that they get. Folks, we've got to do better. We've got to make a difference. And we've got to all stand up. Listen, Guardian Ad Litem is in Florida, but it's also known as CASA, where child advocates, so look in your town, see if there's a CASA or a Guardian Ad Litem. There's big brothers, big sisters. There's so many different things you can do. If you work at a school, if you work at a church, know the signs. I know here in my area, we have Gulf Coast Kids House, Santa Rosa Kids House. We have different kids house who offer training for you. So take your employees and get them trained. Take your church leaders and church school teachers or Sunday school teachers and your school teachers and get them educated. I think most school educators are, but churches should get their Sunday school teachers qualified and knowing the signs. And you know the signs too, because your child might say, hey mom, Jill at school she's got bruises all over her, and she said her stepdad hurt her. What do I do, Mom? What do I do? Do you know what to tell her in this instant? Do you know what to do? Do you know who to call? Listen, many calls are anonymous. So just have somewhere to tell them, an address or whatever. Find out, get the information you need. We have to do better by our children, folks. They're our future. I don't know whether to keep going on or not. There was so much information there. There was so much more I wanted to give you, but it just takes so long. And even to write down everything that I wanted to. Next time I think I'll open my iPad up and then I'll have the information there while I'm taping, and it'll make it easier. I don't know. It's just hard. It's hard information. I will tell you, you can look on YouTube. If you don't believe me about the cases, there's tons of them on the Law and Crime Network. You can see different cases that have happened over the years. You've seen some of them nationally on TV, but there's so many, and there's tons of them on there, because you have to know what you're looking for. I have a group on Facebook called Hope for Our Children's Future, and I'll try to put that down in the comments or the thing. So, because I put information, I put the stories, because we need to hear these children's stories. Their stories deserve to be told, because if we can tell their story, we can keep it from happening to another child. Watch on Netflix, the Gabriel Fernandez files, because the system is broken and the system failed that child. His parents were turned in so many times, or his mom and his stepdad turned in so many times, fell on, and he just kept being given back and given back and given back, and he lost his life. In the state of Florida, and I hate it. I put it on my Facebook again. The Miami Herald did a wonderful, wonderful, was it a 3-year study about the abuse and neglect, because Florida doesn't, we always want reunification. That's the goal. It's always reunification, to reunify them with a parent. And that goal has caused a lot of problems in that time period that they did, because over 500 children lost their life that had been under state supervision. So they were either put back with their parents. There's foster parents out there who are, it's so hard because we need foster homes so bad. Guys, there's just not nearly enough foster homes. And when children get sent to a group home, and they're horrible. They're so horrible. But there's so many things online. You want to look also for the Blue Campaign with the Department of Homeland Security. That's their child abuse awareness thing. They have a lot of good information there. This is the Child Advocacy Centers, I think CACs, is where I got this information from. I think it's the National Alliance of Child Advocacy Centers or something like that. But I will find it and put it in the description. But I think I'm going to stop for now. I could go on for a long time, because my heart is just for us to help the children. And I know myself, I live in a smaller community. It's not huge. It's not tiny, but it's not huge. And there's so many bigger cities in the state, but we're number one for child abuse and neglect. And don't get me started on trafficking. Before I close, I do want to tell you one thing. Know the signs of online predators, because it's the biggest way they're trafficking our children now. Video games, apps like Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, any of those, there's an opportunity for them to meet somebody. People can play, kids can be playing on video games, and they're playing, and they're online, and they're talking to all these people online. And children are innocent. They don't realize that they're not talking to a child their age, even though that person said, hey, yeah, I'm 14 too. Let's play this game. And then they get information on the children. They start trying to get them to send pictures or do this, do that, and they're blackmailed. Dr. Phil had a show about these kids, and they were stalked online, or they were online. They sent them the pictures and things that they wanted, and they were blackmailed. And these kids committed suicide because they didn't want their parents to find out that they had sent pictures, or they had done this, or whatever they had done. There's a story about it on Dr. Phil. And my heart breaks, because that child was taken advantage of. And a lot of them is from other countries. And these people don't care that they're children. They don't care. They're making money. And it's horrible. So we have to find a way to monitor our children while I'm online. And I'm going to say exactly what the detective recommended us in our human trafficking summit. Take those devices at night, put them in your room to charge, in a locked area where the kids can't get to them. At night, they should have no access without an adult. If you have a child and you want to save their life, monitor them online. I'm serious, y'all. It's that dangerous. It is that dangerous. But that's it. I'm going to end for the night. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Please share this video. Please, I hope you watch this all the way to the end. I hope you'll check out my ones on online predators and all the other online ones I have. And I'm going to be trying to put a few more up for Child Abuse Awareness Month. I thank you for watching. Pray for the children, y'all. Pray that we figure out how to get it right. I thank you and God bless you. Have a good night. Bye-bye.